Hi everyone, I'm Annabelle. You're welcome to Deep Truths. Let me start by asking, have you ever tried to be someone else? Maybe even wish you could trade places with someone you admire? It's tempting sometimes, right? We see people on social media, at work, even in our families and think, if only I had what they had. If only I could do what they do. The truth is, the best you can be is you. Everyone else is already taken. God created you uniquely. Let's start with the words of King David in Psalm 139 verse 14, where he says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That's not just a nice phrase. It's a truth that applies to each and every one of us. God made you with intention, with purpose, and let's be honest, with a little flair. Now, let's talk about why this is so important. One of the biggest traps in life is comparison. We look at others, and instead of appreciating who we are, we start focusing on what we are not. Maybe your co-worker is more charismatic, your neighbor seems to have the perfect family, or your friend have the kind of financial stability that makes you feel like you're just treading water. But the secret is, God didn't create you to be them. He created you to be you. Consider this. Imagine if David, when he stood before Goliath, he tried to be like King Saul. Saul even offered David his armor, but David knew that what fit Saul wouldn't fit him. He didn't need Saul's armor. He needed to fight Goliath as David. Just a sling and 5 stones. And guess what? That's all it took for him to defeat Goliath. He defeated Goliath by being David. Comparison is a thief. And I mean that literally. It robs you of your joy, your peace, and ultimately your purpose. Look at what happened to Cain in Genesis 4. He compared his offering to Abel's, and instead of focusing on how to improve himself, jealousy consumed him. We all know how that ended. Comparison is a dangerous game with no winners. But how do we embrace who we are? How do we live out the truth that we are fearfully and wonderfully made? Know your strength. In Romans 12 verse 6, Paul reminds us that we all have different gifts according to the grace given to us. Some of you are natural leaders, others are incredible listeners, and some can crack a joke that lights up a room. But the key is this: don't try to trade your gifts for someone else's. You don't see an eagle trying to swim like a fish, and you don't see a fish trying to fly. Lean into your strength. Embrace your flaws. We all have flaws, even Moses, one of the greatest leaders in the Bible. He had a speech problem. He didn't feel confident speaking to Pharaoh. But God used him in ways that Moses couldn't have imagined. 2 Corinthians 12 verse 4 to 9 reminds us, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Your flaws might just be where God shows up the most. So embrace them, because they don't disqualify you. They actually qualify you for God's grace. Stop the comparison game. As I mentioned earlier, comparison is a trap. Social media, for all its benefits, has made this harder than ever. We are constantly bombarded with highlight reels, people's best moments, best vacations, best assets. But rarely do we see the struggles, the fears, or the failures that everyone experiences. Galatians 6 verse 4 says, each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. In other words, mind your own lane, run your race. Trust God's plan for you. One of the hardest things in life is accepting that we don't control everything. We want to rush to reach certain milestones because we see others hitting them. But God's timing is perfect. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Trust that the story God is writing for you is unique and it is worth waiting for. Don't rush to copy someone else's story. Celebrate others. There is an old saying, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. When you celebrate others, it doesn't diminish who you are. It actually frees you from envy and allows you to focus on your own journey. If your friend just got promoted, celebrate them. If your sibling is doing great in their career, cheer them on. Romans 12 verse 15 encourages us to rejoice with those who rejoice. Now, let me leave you with this story. There was a man who spent his entire life trying to be like someone else. He admired a famous speaker and did everything to imitate him. His style, his voice, his mannerisms. He thought that if he could just be more like this person, he would be successful. One day, the man had the chance to meet the speaker. With excitement, he asked for advice, expecting some profound, life-changing insights. The speaker looked at him and said, "The world doesn't need another me. It needs you." That's the message today. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs you, your quirks, your talents, your struggles, your story. Be yourself because everyone else is already taken. And when you're the best version of yourself, you will not only fulfill your purpose, but you will also inspire others to do the same. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting the like button. It's exciting for me to see that the content is connecting with you. So I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Your feedbacks keep me motivated and help shape future videos. And if you want to stay tuned for more, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for your time, engagement, and for being a part of this journey.